Muy buenos días, distinguidos.
Good morning. Once again, we are going to be continuing with our conferences. So let's take our program in this during this Panama Supply Chain Forum. We are going to be talking about digital transformation of the supply chain from concept to execution. We're going to have who is VP Customer Success in Yamasoft for Latin America. He is an industrial engineer with over 12 years of experience. He's an expert in digital twins from the supply chain. Let's receive him with a strong applause. Good morning. The truth is that I am very happy to be with you today in this first edition of the Panama Supply Chain Forum. And we've had the opportunity to listen to the first conferences that we had this morning because it's very interesting to see how the different pieces of the puzzle are being put back together from the logistics company and to position Panama as the innovative hub, as the hub that is being led by the digital transformation sector. My presentation for today is more focused towards this point. The companies that have been listening to this concept I have seen some very specific success cases that have been presented. They don't know where to start. They know it's a need. They know it's something they need to do to continue to be relevant in the market, as our panelist already said. And they really don't know how to structure it and take that first step. That's why the presentation is called From the Concept of that Trend, of the concept of digital transformation in order to execute something that's very specific. So we are going to be talking about this today. First, we need to understand or discuss what do we understand by digital transformation. This concept, when I'm telling you this right now, it could generate a lot of different ideas in your head, depending on the business and the industry and the benefit and the trend of what the company wants to achieve. And from Yamasoft, it's a question that we need to ask our questions and our executives before entering any type of project. If I want to transform the supply chain or if I want to enter into the digital transformation, and ask them, what are you really thinking about? And here I wanted to share with you one of the most common answers that continue to be concepts, ideas, benefits, and also that facilitate this concept of the digital transformation of the supply chain. Some of the executives that work with us in Latin America, they have told us this, transnational companies have told us this, when they hear the concept of a digital transformation of the supply chain, what do they imagine? Some people imagine technology. Technology is a qualifier. It's something that doesn't define it, but it allows it to be. Others are focused on opportunities. I'm going to be more competitive, more efficient. Others talk about the consumer, the change, the Internet of Things. There are many concepts, but the truth is that often we do not have clear where am I headed to, which of these concepts, benefits, or final goals do I want to achieve, and that's why I want to get on board of this digital transformation train. To prepare this presentation, I read an article from McKinsey where they defined the supply chain concept 4.0. Where they made a lot of focus on the issue of visibility, connectivity, So this is a quick overview of the supply chain, that if we begin by production, you have an interconnected factory that tells you in real time what are the capacities, the efficiency, what products are being produced, what is the production plan, and the compliance with this plan. Then you have the first phase of that is distribution to your distribution center. And this is we're talking about the visibility and also the tracking of the information and the cargo configuration on the conditions under which this cargo is traveling on. Then we have my distribution center where I can have everything automated. I can do automated counting. I can use drones, a lot of things. There are a lot of catcher elements, and this performance that I have over there is the visibility that we can give the executive of the supply chains to know exactly what is happening in any point of the change at any time, whenever he needs it. So what are the benefits? The obvious benefits are visibility and collaboration. Collaboration is a very important point, because by you having this complete visibility of the chain, you can start doing this. You can the trade-offs. You can use a truck to the transportation area, or to the distribution area, or to the warehouse. So the trade-offs are very important, and therefore this is the collaboration of the different areas, which is very important. In addition to this, the benefits of having this visibility allows us to be more flexible, allows us to react quickly to unexpected changes in the chain. We have the granularity issues, so to know exactly what product or what order is in what truck, and not only at the order level, at the saying that I have this amount in the route. Efficiency and control. Many of the panelists have been talking about the performance indicators to see if you are on time or you are delayed, and to be able to redirect in real time your decisions. And this leaves us, this grounds the digital transformation concept, visibility and collaboration, and of interconnecting your network, which could improve your business. To reach this concept, or to reach execution, which is the key point of my presentation today, what things are missing in the minds of executives when they think about digital transformation? Do you think of technology and information? They think in speed. Can you imagine most of the benefits? But often the base of which are the basic conditions that the company should focus on prior to implementing a project of this nature. The first thing is strategy. Obviously, you need to have a clear strategy before you begin the project. And we're going to be talking about that later. The other is people. The other are processes, and I leave for last technology. This is the paradigm that we need to change. When we see the concept of digital transformation, the first thing that we think about is technology. Though at the end of the day, the technology is the last thing. It's the facilitators, the ones who help you to achieve it. But prior to this, many other things needs to happen in order for the project to be successful. So if we begin with the strategy, the number one, the key would be to be able to define that digital strategy in function of the market you want to reach, and in function of the strengths of your business. That is, you need to know yourself first, you need to know your objective target market, and you need to design a digital strategy that helps you. So it's not to copy another the strategy of another one. For example, I want to be the first regional Amazon. To be the first in your market niche is what makes you better and makes you competitive. And to define this strategy, we can say that there are 5 categories on how we can define this strategy. And what's interesting is that not necessarily do not necessarily need to have an individual strategy for the entire company, but with the speed in which things are moving, you can have strategies section by products, by markets, regions. When you have an issue of products that you cannot predict their demand, that is, they're very variable or seasonal, or where you don't have much flexibility for your production, well, you turn into an adaptable strategy. You're going to adapt it to the demand. And when you have the same unforeseeability of your demand, you can continue shaping to change. That's another type of strategy. Or in the best of cases, where you have a really good forecast, you have a lot of flexibility, it's your business core, you can enter into a visionary strategy.
These are just a few examples, and what I have to the left of my screen is, or you're right actually, it's that concept that I can have strategies that change in time, that change according to the product, that change according to the market I'm working with. So it's important to have that flexibilization strategy. Number two is people. For me, this is the main basis for success for digital transformation strategy in the company. So here we have the concept of what I call the digital leader. We've heard that before. New generations already have that in their blood. That's true, but we have to see how we integrate all the elements in your company, all the human resources, in order to develop an organizational culture based on digital leadership. And what does digital leadership entail? Mainly, information ideas have to be more democratic. That concept that information is power, that continues to be valid. However, it's no longer power if you're focused on a person. Technology, for example, they have the power, that they have the full vision of the company, but that's counterproductive if the decision makers in different company areas do not have access to that information, don't have the visibility to carry out those trade-offs and find the best solution for the company. The next one is stop. Collaboration and synchronicity with which the different departments have to work in the supply chain, transportation, how when we make the ideas collaboration all synchronized and everybody's synchronized, we can make them work more efficiently. And the third one would be connectivity, not only internally, because it comes from the collaboration side, but external connectivity with areas, or rather with the industry. You're moving in to see where the trends are heading, where the competitors are heading, where are the leading companies in the market heading. It's important that the digital leader has a vision not only of what happens in-house, but also external trends. The third point would be processes. In the digital decision-making process, we follow a basic process that could be the same as a non-digital decision-making, as I'm proposing here, where you start by defining the problem. You place the decision criteria, we prioritize the decision criteria, we design alternatives, we evaluate alternatives, and finally we pick the best alternative to solve the problem. So what's the key component here? Well, precisely use technology as a support, use visibility and information as support, so that in each one of these decision-making processes, we can work more quickly and efficiently. So to solve the problem, I have to have visibility of the data, real-time information to define the decision criteria, assign priorities to the decision criteria. I need technological support, algorithms that show me the relationships and the trends of what's happening or what happened the last time we made that decision or we took that avenue. To design alternatives, likewise, find the gaps, information gaps that will help you to know what are the best alternatives or the possible alternatives to be evaluated. And at the end, not everything can be left to the machines or AI or automation, but rather that best alternative be the result of a combination between what the algorithm helped you to visualize and the human experience, because there will always be a human component that will help us to bring down to earth the best decision based on the available information. After the processes, we have technology, which would be the concept of the digital twin. this concept is very important because digital transformation does not mean that you're only going to have visibility on real time, as is believed, of what's happening in the chain, and that obviously is invaluable benefit for the companies that do not have it now. But that doesn't stay there. The digital twin goes beyond the past and the present. For example, if I place geolocators in my transportation fleet, I can see the past and the present of what is happening in the routes and how I operated yesterday or the previous month. But the digital twin concept, and to be able to complete that digital transformation of the chain, really entails that you can replicate your current supply chain in a digital media. Not only see the past and the present, real-time vision, but in the digital world that you can include the future component. Imagine if I have a digital twin of my supply chain. I can start generating scenarios of what would happen what happens if tomorrow I wake up and I have 50% less transportation capability in my fleet to deliver. What would be my contingency plan? What would be plan B? Or an order is late from the supplier and it's not arriving today, but it's arriving in a week's time from now. What's plan B? So these scenarios of being able to foresee the future and mitigate the risk of contingencies that could take place in the supply chain, that's the real value of the digital transformation. So obviously all companies will start with visibility in real time. But we have to go a step beyond that and be able to have the capability of forecasting and see what would happen or what would be the best option to mitigate risk at a given point in time. And I'll close with that concept. This is basically what we do with our customers with LlamaSoft, and that's interconnectivity of the supply chain, each one of the processes, bearing in mind the concepts that we saw of making information democratic, of eliminating the silos in the supply chain areas. That's why we call it supply chain. It's a chain that everything relies on the others. And we're truly not attempting to change the world. We're not generating new management systems. We're not generating the change of the RP, but take these current systems that are very specialized, and we have very good ones out in the market, and practically cover or bridge the gaps we currently have. There are specialized systems for transportation, for warehousing, for production, and generate that visibility, that current visibility layer that connects all these systems and gives you a full visual of the chain, and allows you to bridge the gaps of trade-offs that will allow you to make better decisions. And that's very important because it's not only from the technological point of view, but also from the organizational point of view. You cannot assess the management of a transportation manager because he has to bring the cost down every year, or keep the same cost as the previous year and generate more deliveries, because potentially that could be impacted in a greater measure another link in the chain, so it has to be integrated. We have to find a common goal in all the chain processes and look for the global goal to see what's the best option for the company. Perhaps spend a little bit more on transportation because I brought down the assets in production, or I was able to bring down my footprint in the distribution center. So look for that global optimum through the integration of the chain with an end-to-end visibility of all the information. And with this, I close my presentation. There's my contact information for our strategic partner in Panama, which is Shark Optimization. We've already done some local work here in Panama with them. We have some interesting cases that we could share with you, and I'm available during the rest of the day if you want to talk more about the concepts. Thank you. Our next speaker is an electronic engineer in communications and automation. He's an account executive for Central America for SAP. He has broad experience as a technology consultant for global organizations and high-demand organizations. He will talk about data analysis and its impact on decision-making in the supply chain. And we have engineer Luis Martinez. Hello, how are you? First and foremost, I would like to thank you for the time. In my years at work, I realized that if somebody who really is enthusiastic about their work is the people that work in logistics and supply chain are the ones that stay overtime until 9, 10 p.m. to prepare the reports and Excel spreadsheets so that the consumers can have the product on time. Thank you so much for that. Tanja Luca, CEO for Bosch, says that if you want to survive in the digital era, we have to do things better, do things different, or do different things. And that is valid for all of us who work in logistics and supply. Above all, now in modern times when things have changed from the 80s, when the supply chains are defined as source, procure, and deliver, well, there hadn't been any major changes in things until 2009, 2013, where the information technology systems make us have more and more information, and some trends like the Internet of Things make our customers more and more demanding. Now it's a key moment to carry out this transformation and provide our customers the experience they require or the experience they're expecting. For us, the intelligent company is our promise. We want to give all companies the capability of understanding what's happening with their processes, their macro processes in all business lines and everything that happens in a company. The strategy of SAP is to be able to analyze each one of the processes, understand how you're currently operating, and be able to provide you an operations benchmark versus the top tiers in your industry. We know that to that end, we have to make use of the data we currently have and also provide an innovative solution that allows you to create new developments. To that end, we use intelligent technologies like the Internet of Things, machine learning, and big data in order to provide you the intelligent company you deserve. That's our promise. Today we'll see what does this mean for supply chain from a point of view of analytics. For those of you who don't know SAP is an information and technology company best known by the RP, but currently works every business line of each one of its companies. And 70% of the transactions that take place worldwide currently use an SAP system. When I prepared to come here today, what I did is that I pulled out my cell phone, I wrote an Uber, I made my travel reservation through an application, and when I got here I realized that I'm missing some groceries back at home when I go back home. So I also placed an order online. It was very simple for me to adopt these technologies thanks to mobile technology and others. However, when we compare this to the companies and local operations, this does not happen. Isn't it difficult for many of you to make a report today? How many of you take 2 to 3 days to process information? The adoption of these personal technologies is not taking place in the companies currently, and that's one of the main challenges we have in the companies. Let's see if this moves. One of the challenges we have in the companies, as I said before, 73% of the executives currently in Latin America state that the greatest technological challenge they have now is data management, and this is growing. And 40% of the companies state that they lose and they devote time to non-productive processes. That's the reality that we have to solve in Latin America currently. And if we add trends like the unique channel, the Internet of Things, we are creating a bureaucracy that does not allow us to have innovative ideas that are profitable. They can be executed, yes, but they're not profitable for the company, and that is one of the challenges we have in the region. And what are the Latin American challenges that stop us from innovating? One is technology. Rafa was saying that it's not Mecca, but it's one of the obstacles we have down the road. The databases we have typically installed allow us to have operations data, but as we've been adopting these trends, these databases do not have the capability of providing real-time information, and they don't have the capacity to include other types of data. Make a comment. During the past 10 years, I worked with the medical companies, advanced manufacturing in Puerto Rico and Central America, and I also worked on defense. And there are three interesting cases I would like to share with you. In 2013, Ford launched the Ford Mustang, one of their star products, and they launched some demos into the market for journalists. Journalists tested the car and told Ford through referrals and reviews that the gearbox makes a little noise. Ford disregards this and launches the cars for mass consumption. And this is one of the biggest recalls that Ford has had in history for one of their star products, because they didn't listen to Facebook and Twitter and the interviews made to the journalists. If we had had the capability of reacting from the technological standpoint, we wouldn't have had that loss of thousands of dollars in such a large company. A cereal company in 2012 decided to change their supplier for their packing material, the plastic bags. So people started complaining in Twitter, but the company could not listen to what their consumers were saying in the digital media. 6 weeks later, people stopped buying the cereal because the bag made the cereal taste like plastic. We didn't have the capability of integrating this technology to the production line because we were not listening to the customer and what they wanted. And now the customer, more than ever, is the center. He's the king, and we have to do it. There are technological tools that can help us, and typically we disregard them. What happens by not having the technology or the capability to understand? We're making slow decisions, as in the case of the cereal company, but also in the case of manufacturing. It happens when Hurricane Maria, for those of you who do not know this, in Puerto Rico, we develop catheters, infusion pumps, pacemakers, over 73% of what is used in the States. And when we heard the hurricane was coming and we had to work in logistics to have inventory so as not to have stockouts, we understood that we would have a climate event, but we didn't have the capability to understand the projections of the hurricane or where it was going. And this was a climate event. The hurricane changed its course, and it affected 23% of our critical inputs to carry out key hard operations in Latin America. What would have happened if we had been able to include that hurricane signal that changed the climate in our supply chain control tower? The scenario would have been quite different, and perhaps we wouldn't have had to make those emergency readjustments that cost time and money. And in a critical case like the advanced manufacturing of medical devices, may cost even lives. We don't want that to happen. And currently we have the tools to change that. It's not changing all our technological focus. It's to use tools that allow us to understand what is happening beyond the quantifiable data as leverage, and that's operational data. We have the capability of integrating the customer experience in all our logistics processes. What happens is that this type of trends, omni-channel and the Amazon effect, the two-day delivery and the combined compliance, that means if I can dispatch from a production center from the factory or from a dispatch center for my end user, and apart from that, intelligence in all devices is generated an incredible amount of non-correlated data that we typically cannot manage with the traditional tools. An Excel or a flat report does not provide sufficient information for us to be able to draw from it. Let's see some examples. Ford is a very well-known brand worldwide, and the customization of the vehicles makes them able to have the capability of having 1 billion combinations for each vehicle. Amazon has the capability of delivering in 2 hours, and they process 34 million orders per day. What this means is that we're generating a great amount of data that it's hard to imagine, and we're unable in Latin America to benefit from that information in real time. Cell phones, for example, there are 500 million miles. That's transportation, wear down, maintenance, and consumption information that we're not using. The Internet of Things and big data now provides us the capability of analyzing all this and transform the data not only into information but also insights that tell us where we should be going with our business, even if we have to change our business. I have some examples today. However, I would like to make a brief pause here, because when they asked me, Luis, can you present your perspective regarding analytics in the supply chain? I said yes. And what is your perspective? It's the changes of analytics and predictive tools have been genius in the supply chain as well. Genius. Period. And you see there's a period there, nothing after that. Everything we've seen so far has been disruptive. When we see recent companies like Uber, Airbnb, Rapid Qualify, and others, they've been disruptive, bridging the gap that there was in place between the customer expectation and what was truly happening. Not only that, it has allowed us to innovate more. We have different communication systems, applications, logistics systems, inventory systems, and others that change and improve year after year, and that has allowed us to transform. Currently, we have business models that did not exist in the past, and data as a service and platform as a service did not exist in the past, and that has changed our business model and allowed us to increase our profits. Not only that, as consumers, it's provided us with options. Before, we could only buy from the supermarket or restaurant that's adjacent. Now, thanks to technology, we can buy wherever we prefer and where our experience is better. For those of us who work in supply chain, it's brought about some challenges, and this challenge is to understand how can we improve our supply chain so the customer continues to be the king and continues to be the center of our communication, of what we do and of our actions. That is why innovation, disruption, options and experiences have to be connected, and not only connect the client or the customer with our company, but also our companies and our assets with other manufacturers, so that they can continue to be the king of our business. That's the vision we want to bring. And how to execute this is one of the challenges we have, because bringing everything into our company is something that will take us time, dedication, and efforts, especially if we see it within the 5 macro processes of the supply chain, where we design one of our products, we validate that it can be manufactured and have the manufacturing data to be able to deliver it, and not only that, but also be able to operate it. The idea is that we can have sufficient information and clear analysis of each one of these macro processes for decision making in such a way that we can connect our manufacturers, our customers, and our assets, and make use of that data for decision making and execution. In this manner, we would be able to have a work ecosystem based on data analysis, with data that turns into insights. Currently, the traditional approach is to use a flat file with an Excel spreadsheet with, I don't know about you, I take Excel courses to see how do I make a pivot table and how do I use it. But now you have data with climate, temperature, customer experience, and so on and so forth. This becomes very complex, and installed technology-based, the one we have in Latin America, does not allow us to make use of that data in the most effective manner. What are other companies doing to solve this great challenge and not only have efficiency in their processes, but also have large efficiencies in their business, an increase in revenue, for example, or lower operations costs? They're looking into technologies that allow them to come closer and maximize the use of the data without data mining or big data. This allows us to have full visibility of the supply chain in each one of the processes, to have predictive analytics in real time on all the data we have, control towers, so we can all visualize our process and see what we have to correct. monitors and granularity to validate, like Rafael mentioned, that AI and big data are providing can be validated by a human being for a more effective decision making. What does this translate into? Well, it translates into seeing companies growing 1 to 2% in revenue currently by implementing analytic technology. What does this mean for your business? Well, do the numbers. After that, we've seen improves in the SLA and order placement and customer experience, including macroanalytics. We've seen increase in the inventory turnaround. This increases cash flow for the financial side that can be used to transform your business, generate other projects, or reinvest in the company. We've seen a 28% reduction of the inventory turnover, and this turns into liquid cash we can use, and we've seen between 8 to 10% of reduction in maintenance costs. And this can translate into several things. Those of us who have operations with fixed assets that are very big, that it's the maintenance of those assets. For example, power generation or water generation or transportation, where we have too many trucks or too many logistics systems that are devaluated. Well, you have an improvement there. In Trenitalia, I have another example. Trenitalia is a mass transportation system in Italy, and a key part of the experience that they provide to the customers is that the trains are always on time, that they have high availability, and an optimal customer experience. However, the maintenance costs, not only preventive maintenance, but due to failures, was high. And what Trenitalia does is that it collects real-time information from all its trains, thanks to the Internet of Things, sensors and others, process the information in a non-correlated data system, and carry out a predictive analysis of when there will be a failure on the train so that you can do preventive maintenance, bringing down the costs. The same happens with Vestas, a power generation company, a wind power generation company, does a predictive analysis of all rotary devices, but through harmonics analysis, they can determine when it will fail, when they have maintenance needs, in order so as to not impact installed base. This is possible thanks to the Internet of Things, big data, and tools that provide us with a prediction capability. The same happens with Kaiser compressors. They used to sell electric appliances, and thanks to the analysis of the big data and the effects of the supply chain, they changed their model of selling a compressor, an air compressor. Now they sell compressed air services. That's quite different. So they own the assets, and what they do is they lease equipment with high availability to their customers. This is a 180-degree change in their business model. The same happens in agriculture, where we have crops, and it's important that we can maximize profits here and lower our costs. Thanks to the Internet of Things, thanks to machine learning and AI, we're currently capable of understanding what is the best area for crops, how much fertilizer should be used, compare this with models from other places, and maximize the whole crop process until you deliver to the end customer. I think this is the last example I have here. UPS, delivery company in the US, they brought their inventory down to almost zero in distribution centers, because now they have the capability to understand the supply their customers need, and print, do 3D printing of the parts while on transportation. This is a model that completely lowers inventory costs. It lowers inventory handling, and these are some ideas that we can work on and understand how they adapt to you. And the important thing of all this is that we have the benchmarks and the capability to understand how you are operating versus, let's say, your competitors, or versus other manufacturers or other logistics operators, and understand how we can bridge that gap and that you can perform at the excellence level that your customers need. My name is Luis Martinez. I'm an account executive for the supply chain in Central America and the Caribbean. If you scan this on screen, you'll have my contact information, mail, and so on. If there's any concerns and you want to see how your operation compares to the best in the industry and understand what you can do to bridge the gap, I'll be more than glad to meet with you on a one-on-one basis, and we can have a talk. I won't take any more time away from you. Thank you for your attention, and I congratulate Panama for the initiative. And thank you very much.
Our next speaker is a mechanical engineer. He's a specialist in quality, a general manager, and VP for Flex Brazil. This is a company dedicated to the design and development of global technology with the topic of globalization. And we are going to now have Leandro Santos. Globalization of the supply chain is the topic.
Buenos dias.
Good morning. Yes, I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuñol. That means he's Portuguese and Spanish. I do not feel comfortable to speak in Spanish. Therefore, I'm going to do it in English. So now I'm going to change from Portuñol to English. Estoy muy complacido de estar aquí el día de hoy con ustedes. Como brasileño siempre escuché sobre Panamá, el canal de Panamá, la historia sobre el canal de Panamá. Desde el punto de vista, la perspectiva de un extranjero, como el mundo ve a Panamá. Hace 2 años tuve la oportunidad de venir a Panamá y ver el canal de Panamá. Y me sentí muy contento de verlos activos y el futuro y lo que está haciendo Panamá en la región. Yo veo que ustedes están tratando de moverse en la misma dirección en la última década y esto lo está dando Panamá el futuro competitivo. Así que yo trabajo para Flex y por lo que veo aquí
in USA, in California, and we serve most of the companies that produce electronic products. So we are, in the past, considered electronic manufacturing service. So I'm going to give a small speech about Flex so everybody can understand why you believe Panama can be the next chapter in the manufacturing, at least for Latin America. So, as I said, Flex is a worldwide organization based on USA, and you do manufacturing products for OEM brands. So you can think for anything that you use, Flex is part of the supply chain, producing part of an electronic device. For most of our customers, we do the full device. We do the supply chain, we import parts, we assemble, we test, we pack, we distribute, we ship. For some customers, we help to sell, and you do a lot of services after the manufacturing. Includes warranty, spare part management, repair, and circular economy. We are going to talk a little about that. So in the world, you have around 200,000 employees, and we have operations over 30 countries. We work also in several industries. So every single of those industries, Flex has a very, very considerable size and expertise. And most of those industries, we grow by acquisition. So our customers in the past, they don't want to do manufacturing. They wanted to outsource the design center or the service center, and we bought those expertise. We bought the space, the infrastructure, the system, and the expertise from the people. So Flex is a very big mix from several brands that you are incorporated through the operation that they have worldwide. When you did that, we did realize we can help in the new, you saw today a lot of people talking about digitalization, digital transformation, artificial intelligence. So those are technologies that they are transforming the way we live. And Flex has expertise in all of those areas that give us a very unique position that we can help most of the company to learn from expertise from other areas of the knowledge. So it's very common, one of those areas, people have no idea for a very stable technology, and they have a very hard time to apply in other areas. So we can help them to connect. So 5 years ago, we changed our name from Flextronics to Flex, and now we are organizing the way we do business in a new way. So we call our company as a sketch-to-scale provider. So we think together with customers how to design the product in order to scale that around the world. Another point that I would like to highlight that's pretty important today, it's not about growth anymore. So if you have a business and you are only looking for how you grow, that's my view, guys. I think you need to rethink how you are going to do your business. Because today is how to grow sustainable. If you cannot make a business that grow sustainable, simply have no chance in the future. In Flex, we care about the way we grow, about our finance, but the way we do business is pretty important. So a very high standard levels on governance, on sustainability, and social inclusion are included as part of our core business. So in Brazil, I am the head of Brazil operations. We are a very stable company in terms of finance, but we are also a great place to work, and we are zero waste certified. We don't generate anything that goes to landfill. We are going to talk a little bit more about that. So that's very important to us, the finance, but also the governance. The same way Flex is considered a grade A for investment in terms of financial for Standard & Poor's, Moody, those agents. We are considered by ISS and other score companies through the social inclusion, sustainability, and the way we do business. So we are grade 1, that's considered grade A in those other areas. So we need to link all of these in a bundle solution. And 5 years ago, we changed our vision mission. So we are open today to create a smarter and more connected world and help through technology to enrich the way we live. So that's our vision mission, so that gives us a lot of opportunities to do more than only manufacturing. Speaking about Flex Brazil, that's the operation that I have been working the past 10 years. In Brazil, we have 3 manufacturing facilities, 2 in São Paulo and 1 in Manaus. We have 3 innovation centers that we co-innovate with our customers in Brazil, that we use this center to help our customers to do the digital transformation in their company. So it's interesting. Most of our companies, they are worldwide companies, and they are leveraging Brazil to do the digital transformation. And that's because Brazil has a very unique set of capabilities that you can accelerate the digital transformation using Brazil as your try-hard country. On top of that, we have distribution centers, either in São Paulo or in Manaus. And we launched 6 years ago a sustainable innovation center, that everything that we think how to transform raw material, not in trash, not in anything that can go to landfill. So all of this ecosystem is running in Brazil, and the idea is to offer that to our customers in Brazil. What do we do in Brazil? We do components, we do cell phones, we do everything for personal computers, mainframes, everything for telecommunications, servers, routers, switches. We do solar panels. We do distribute products for our customers. So that's our core business. We are a supply chain company that delivers across the world solutions, including manufacturing, post-manufacturing services. In the end, our core business in Brazil includes our recycling center, our innovation centers that we call Flextronics Institute of Technology. We have 3. Our facilities. We have an e-commerce to accelerate the way our customers they attack the market in Brazil. And we have our Sustainable Innovation Center that everything that when you have no use, we bring back and transform that in something that can be used in a product with the same technological content. So when you think about sustainability, normally the companies, they wanted to reduce the way they impact the environment. On the way we think, we need to eliminate the way we impact the environment. A little about the operations, detailing a little more. That's our Institute of Technology. All of those core competencies we have in Brazil, very deep knowledge, so we are very good in applied technology. We cannot develop the quantum computer, unfortunately. In Brazil, I think we are a little late on this kind of state of the art, but we can apply technology in new products very, very fast in Brazil. So from automation, from IoT, additive manufacturing, smart packaging, we are ready. And we are in the very edge of the technology there. We have a factory, so that's some pictures of our factory. We do boards, and we do final integration. In average, 2 million consumer products every month. We ship it through our facilities there. We distribute products like we have similar operation here in Panama. We pick products that are finished and we move them around Brazil through our distribution centers. And we innovate in sustainability for our customers. So those are the core competencies we do. And you do all of that in a circle that we call circular economy. I believe more and more we are going to hear about circular economy everywhere, including Panama, because the way we grow in the past 2 centuries is destroying the environment, guys. So it's impossible to continue to grow this way. So in Brazil, we developed a solution that we produce 2 million products every month, and we have 0 waste. Everything becomes all raw material, or become a minimal portion, like 3 to 4% energy, if you cannot transform in raw material. But with a difference that we use a computer to produce another computer, not to producing bottle of waters. So we can continue growing sustainable on this solution. So guys, that's a little about Flex, and Flex in Brazil especially, because the place that we have operation. All of that happens because in Brazil we have 3 pillars. We have people that is being developed in our universities and our center of technology, like FIT. We have manufacturing. And we have a consumer market that is considerable. We have 210,000 million people. So very few countries, they have all those sets. We have countries that they have a lot of people, a huge consumer market, amazing university, but very few factories. They produce everything in other countries. So JSET gives the advantage for Brazil to learn very fast in every cycle that we want to do. So we can learn, we can digitalize, we can test the market, we can use this new era that trying before do the business case, help us to understand the results. And Brazil is a very unique country to learn from that. So the question is, why you are here, Leandro, talking about Brazil? We are here in Panama, talking about Panama. And what's the link about what you are telling and Panama? So guys, what's happening is the following. How the manufacturing and electronics, we work more in electronics, happened in the past. Electronics is very brand new, so 1940, the first computer was launched. 1970, they launched the personal computer. So the electronics starts in 1970 through some American companies, some Japanese and European companies that started doing electronics. So in 1970, the electronic products, they were produced on the OEM countries. So the American companies, they produce in their factories the electronic products, and they sell to USA or export. The Japanese companies, they produce in Japan, they export, and they serve their market. And the European company that produce electronics, they produce in their countries and they export. So that way, electronic growth for 2 decades. So from 1970 to 1980, 85, it grow on the original OEM, the original equipment manufacturing that's the designer of the solution, like, for example, Apple, IBM, HP, those companies. In the past, and from 1980 to 2010, every single company, in terms to grow fast and to gain market share, they use the cost of labor as the driver to move manufacturing. So manufacturing moved very fast from those companies, those countries, to Asia. So everything that they used to produce in Europe, in Japan, and United States moved the manufacturing country to Asia. Very few manufacturers stay on those countries. If you go for those countries, they have only very low volume products being produced either in USA, in Europe, and in Japan. Everything that's high volume, like mobile phones, computers, printers, everything for consumer market, move to China. And we are in the beginning of a new era that has been enabled by the digitalization and the new technologies. So what's coming in the next 10 years, 20 years, is we are going back mostly for what happened in the beginning. Some of the new technology that you saw today, and I'm going to highlight two main drivers, is enabling a transformation the way we do manufacturing. The first is there is clearly a slowdown on the globalization movement in terms of using the best supply chain in terms of economic scale. So there's a protectionism going up, either in USA, in Europe, in other countries, that they are generating barriers to try to protect their technology properties. So the Brexit in Europe, as also the trade war, China and USA, is going to make movements. And most of the companies, they are looking for other manufacturing bases. That's a political driver. There is good chance that is not going to stop globalization. Everybody believes globalization is going to continue occurring, but is slowing down the movement that was very fast. And the second one that's more important than this one are the new technologies. So when you talk about Industry 4.0, 5G together, they are transforming the cost of doing manufacturing. You saw artificial intelligence, automation, robotics. We are reducing the cost of producing a product because we are reducing the needs for labor. So the labor costs that in the past moved everything to mainly China now matter less and less. And in the coming 10 years, 20 years, that is going to matter almost zero. Because those blocks that in the past make a human being be necessary to manufacture is going down. So we are going to do less of the repetitive assemblies as also office activities due to the new technology. The second one is the additive manufacturing, 3D printing. And the 3D printing got to a point that you can do parts on 3D printer for a product that you sell, not a prototype anymore. And when you go for this level, there is something that is very unique. As I'm an industrial engineer, I felt that fantastic. So if you look for this small part below the bigger one there, this part has 12 small pieces. Every piece, the way we produce, we need injection tooling. We inject the parts and we need people to assemble. So that very small piece, with 12 small pieces, needs someone to assemble. On the 3D manufacturing, we can produce without a single person already assembled. So we transform the way we do manufacturing. So when you link technology, automation, robotics, artificial intelligence with 3D printing, in the next years, the level of people to produce something is going to reduce dramatically. And a few years ago, there is a new technology coming. You'll see more in the next presentation. That's called smart packaging. If you have a phone today, you have a unique number. So you can be tracked through your cell phone or your ID as a unique person, unique device. each package in the future is going to have his own ID. So you are not going to treat packing as split stuff. You are going to use packing to track and guarantee the safety, the traceability, and the security necessary to do real one-to-one business. So enabling the manufacturers to deliver a customized solution for every single person. When you look for those movements, we see the manufacturing part, at least of manufacturing, is going to return for the consumer countries, and will be much closer to the end customer. So when you talk about consumer-centric, we are going to deliver a final stage of customization in front of the customer, very close to the customer. Not only delivery, but manufacturing. And this trend is getting faster and faster. Looking for Panama, we decided last year to start a small operation for final configuration in Panama. So we add to our ecosystem because our customers, they see this need. So they look for Flex and say, guys, we need something to help us not only in Brazil, but in all Latin America. And we decided to do our configuration center. We launched last year here together. We have 10 months running. And we believe in the next 5 years, this center is going to grow and deliver customized service through Panama for all Latin America. If you look today how that works, and that's a huge cost, that more and more matters on the supply chain. Every single owner of a branch, they need to manage inventories locally in each country of Latin America. And when they don't sell, what they need to do? They need to give marketing destination for products. That means discounts, and that's become very complex to move products around the Latin America. Panama built a very strong ecosystem in terms of custom clearance, facility is easy to do business. There is lots of stuff to do in terms of skilled Panama to do a manufacturing center. But you have a unique ecosystem. When you compare for other countries, you are in the middle of supply chain for the world. Most of the consumer products, they pass through already here. And you can do the last leg and deliver in 2 days for any country in this region products if you build strong manufacturing capabilities. So Panama can be the next chapter of regionalization and adding not only configuration, but as the technology evolves, adding final assembly and value add for any single country in Latin America region. So we foresee that to be part of our solution to our customers, and Panama is very well positioned to take advantage of this competitive advantage to be here, to have the Panama channel, to be ready in terms of organization and legislation to support this kind and ability to deliver the next chapter of manufacturing. So that's a little about why we see Panama. We are very motivated to continue growing and offering Panama's solution to our customers. So thanks again for your time. Expect this will be real. Together we can build this next chapter. So thank you, guys.
Nuestro siguiente invitado cuenta con más de 10 años de experiencia en corporaciones multinacionales en áreas como cadena de suministro, ventas y mercadeo.
Sales and marketing. He is supply chain manager of HP Latin America, and with the topic smarter packaging, we're going to receive William Zhu.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning. I don't know if I have the challenge of
No piensen en la comida.
you not think about food and continue and follow my presentation. I am also Brazilian. I used to work in HP Brazil, so we have a strong relationship with Flex Brazil, which is the one that does the manufacturing, and now with HP in Panama in the Colombo Free Zone. I am here in Panama. I've been living here for 5 months now. And we've achieved a lot in the Panamanian operation in the Colón Free Zone. I am now going to speak in English because it's easier for me. Sometimes I am confused with I confuse some terms in Spanish. So let's start in English. Hoy voy a presentarles una
that is enable HP to change its supply chain and the way it's doing its business. But before I go into this technology, this program actually we're calling smart packaging that Flex already had a brief on it. Let's see what HP supply chain is doing globally.
One minute, 60 little seconds. Depending on your perspective, it can seem like an eternity, or it can pass in the blink of an eye. It's a tiny fraction of a standard workday, a seemingly insignificant moment out of a week. So what can you really do with just one of these precious little units of measurement? Well, if you're HP, it turns out that 1 minute is a world of time. In fact, in the 60 seconds it takes to finish this video, HP will leverage the resources of its massive yet highly efficient supply chain to deliver 105 personal computers, 88 printers, and 880 consumables to potential destinations that include virtually every country in the world. They'll do it by air, via more than 1,100 flight routes through major hubs like Los Angeles, Shanghai, Dubai, and Ostrom. They'll do it by sea, via more than 870 shipping lanes using commercial ports like Long Beach, Vientiane, Rotterdam, and Piraeus. And they'll do it by land, via one of the largest privately managed networks of truck and rail carriers in the world, including the newly established Kazakhstan line that links China to Europe by rail. That's what HP does with a minute. Every minute. Of every hour. Every day. Not bad, considering it took us longer than that just to finish this video. HP. Got a minute? We'll give you the world.
Well, supply chain is amazing, isn't it? One printer and almost 2 PCs are shipped per second as we talk. So it's quite a lot. HP is the #1 in PCs and printers in the world. It generates more than 50 billion in revenue, is presented in every corner around the globe, and is considered the #4 in sustainability by Barron's. Now let's imagine a world that we had everything connected. Actually, we are getting to that, right? So the physical to the digital, the supply chain to the consumer, a whole new ecosystem. How cool would that be? So that's the aim, that's the target that HP Latam is aiming for. And it actually started back in 2005 in Brazil. So by that point, we started to place RFID tags in every printer we sent out to the market. After that, we put it into the cartridges. And all the cartridges were then linked to our Smart Waste program, so we could have the tracking our circular economy in the Smart Waste program. By that time, we already had lots of data. So what to do with this data? We started to upload in the cloud, to start to have the backbone to the automatizations later on with our suppliers, to develop real-time dashboards and tracking, and later on to have all the operations traceable within the mobile phone. So you could see the order being produced and delivered through the mobile phone. But this was all within the HP ecosystem, the production ecosystem. We wanted more, and we want more. We want to spread this IoT, Internet of Things, through the supply chain. And that's where the smart packaging program comes into game. So we could spread this out through the supply chain in a more agile, more efficient, more simple, and less costly way. So let's talk about smart packaging. But before, we need to talk about digital packaging, because it's key for its implementation and its success. So when we see the digital printing world, we see that it's growing faster than the overall market. And there are lots of areas that are already high adopters of it, like photography, design, marketing materials, even textile. But when we look at labels and packaging, we're still very low adopters. So there's lots of opportunity there. And Infotrends also confirmed that, saying that digital printing for packaging is getting more and more trendy as more people, more companies are embracing it. And it wouldn't be different for HP. So yes, HP is using digital printing in its smart packaging program. And that allows us to have overall cost reduction, reduction on the carbon footprint impact, and also improving the customer experience and our brand protection throughout the supply chain. And how did it started? It started with our trainee program in Brazil. So we had a group of young and innovative professionals that received the challenge to reduce the cost of the boxes. So in 18 days, using concepts like design thinking, quick prototyping, and digital mindset, they deliver a proof of concept that was later on transferred to a real program, a structured program within HP. The idea was to take all this offline, physical, and static information and get it to digital, to a more real-time, more online, and customizable way. So we went from, we took all this physical material and put it all into the digital, and using our link technology. That is a technology that HP is developing, where you can have the boxes and the products in a unique set and have a unique ID where you can trace easily all over the supply chain. So it gives us better brand protection, more efficiency in supply chain, and better customer engagement that I'm going to show you later. Just a quick overlook of how it goes. So we start with our box providers. We pre-press the IDs of the boxes. So each box has a unique ID. We send this out to the manufacturing. So the product already has one ID that is matched and bonded to this box. So we have a set that is traceable throughout the supply chain. And when the consumer actually scans the product, for example, we can have a feedback which product was scanned and have information about the product, where it was consumed, and everything. So everything is uploaded to our HP Link backbone. But to have all that is not just technology. We need the infrastructure, process, the companies involved all together in the same project. So just to recap, we have the proof of concept, then we have our box suppliers developed to have the same technology and process. We engaged in a worldwide level. So this project was brought to our CEO and is going to be expanding to the worldwide team. We had development and pilot in Flextronics in Brazil, and then we sent out to the market. So let's see what our America's Vice President Supply Chain had to say about this pilot.
Hey everybody, I'm in the Brazil factory. Behind me is the LASA inkjet printer manufacturing line. They've done something really cool with digital packaging. I'll show you using my mobile phone and HP's Link Reader technology. I can actually scan the package and it will take me to an app that actually shows me what product I have. And in there, it tells me everything there is to know about my product, where to get support, how to recycle my cartridges, all in a digital way, very easy to use for customers. This is innovation in supply chain, innovation in packaging, and a customer experience. Very cool stuff.
So you guys realize that the package didn't have any barcode or sticker or anything? So it's everything embedded in the printer, in the printing. So this is link technology. So I told you guys that we had 3 deliverables. So cost, environmental impact, and customer experience. Cost, for obvious reasons, I cannot show you here because it's confidential. But environmental impact, we reduce 20.8 tons of CO2 emitted to the ozone layer. So I told you, this was for only 21K units, so it's a pilot. And I told you we ship 1 printer per second, right? So imagine this project in a large scale, in a worldwide scale. So what impactful will it be? And third, and for me the most important one, is the customer experience. So this, we can see the ramp up of the pilot from the time we started to ship and 3 months later. So we had 2.8 scans in the boxes. It gives us 14% access rate, and this being very conservative because not all the products are already sold and still in the supply chain. And 7,000 page views. That shows us that people are really using the app, are really going to the app. And very interesting, with no active communication at all. So people are really testing it. This is a landing page just to have an overlook of how it goes when you scan it. It gets you to the main page and have everything you need. YouTube tutorials on how to install the printer, how to use it, user guide, install guide, warranty info. And important, no complaints at all that we took materials off the boxes and 0 legal issues. And finally, we started to have feedback from the market, from the consumers. This is only geographical information. This is a decision that HP took by now, but we are revising with the market of how to have more information from the market. So imagine if we could have more demographical information, more consumer behaviors. So that's how we're connecting the brand, the factory, to the consumer, as Professor Terry said before. So that's what the companies are looking for, getting closer to the customer and making different and customizable communications and feedbacks from the market. And that's how supply chain is actually connecting the different parts of the company, merging the digital to the physical, and adding more value to the customers. Thank you. Very quick.
Bueno, con la ayuda que nos ha dado William en el tiempo, vamos a cumplir con la hora específica de retorno. A las 1:30 estamos de vuelta en el salón, porque ahora vamos a hacer el receso de almuerzo que se ofrece en el salón Gran Barú. 1:30 retomamos las conferencias.